We've mapped the economics. We've built the business case. Every stakeholder has a win on the table. But here's the thing. Economics alone won't move people. Numbers tell you what makes sense. They don't tell you why someone should care. That's where we go next. Stakeholder Value Analysis. And the goal here is simple but profound. We're building the human connect. We move beyond the economic quadrants and step into something deeper, a value system. One that asks, what does this solution mean to the people it touches? What human need does it speak to? Is it giving someone security or belonging or purpose or all three? Because when a stakeholder sees their own values reflected in what a solution stands for, something shifts. They stop participating out of necessity. They start contributing out of conviction. That's the transition from survival-driven choices to purpose-driven contributions. And that's a powerful place to build from. And this isn't just about inspiration, it's strategic. This value alignment becomes the solution's differentiator. It shapes how the solution enters the market, how it delivers its experience, and how it earns the kind of stakeholder engagement that sustains it long-term. So, let's dig in. Let's find the human thread that runs through each use case and pull it. We've built the case for a refurbished circuit components marketplace in the previous session. Now let's look at what it actually means for the human side, layer by layer, for the people it touches most. Start with the most relatable actor, the person sitting at home with an old broken device gathering dust in a drawer. We've all been there. You don't quite know what to do with it. Throwing it away feels wrong. Keeping it serves no purpose. The device just sits there. Now imagine a solution that says, hand it over, and we'll take care of it properly, and we'll even pay you for it. That changes everything. Suddenly, doing the right thing also makes financial sense. That's the first layer of value, enablement with a monetary benefit. And it's a powerful motivator because it removes the inertia. It gives people a reason to act. But it goes further. This initiative is rooted in green engineering, in conscious, purposeful reduction of e-waste. And when people participate, they're not just offloading an old gadget. They're contributing to something meaningful. They're making an environmental statement. And when the solution recognizes and celebrates that contribution, through acknowledgement, through community accolades, it fuels a desire to do more. Participation stops feeling like a transaction. It starts feeling like belonging to a movement. Now let's look at the person whose device has broken down and who needs it fixed. In most cases, this person is already in a tough spot. The device is out of warranty. The manufacturer's service center is either too expensive or simply not an option anymore. They're stuck. This is where the marketplace steps in, and the first thing it offers is relief. A cost-effective alternative to what would otherwise be an unaffordable or impossible repair. That alone is significant value. But the story doesn't stop at affordability. The next question in this person's mind is natural. Can I trust a refurbished part? Is it safe? Will it actually work? And that's where the solution levels up. If the marketplace can provide verified assurance of safety and reliability, backed by testing, standards, and transparent quality checks, that concern starts to dissolve. And then comes the final, most human question. What if something still goes wrong? If there's after-service support available, a channel to reach out, a community of users sharing real feedback, this actor doesn't just feel satisfied. They feel protected, cared for. And that sense of security is what converts a hesitant, first-time user into a loyal, enthusiastic participant. Their needs are being met, practically, financially, and emotionally. That's full-spectrum value alignment. Now shift perspective to the repair technician or maintenance professional who actually does the fixing. For this actor, the refurbished components marketplace is a business enabler. Access to affordable, quality components means they can take on a wider range of repairs, serve more customers, and build a more resilient operation. Their capability expands directly because this solution exists. Add to that the assurance of safety and reliability certification, and now this actor can stand behind the parts they use. They're no longer taking a risk. They're offering dependability that builds their reputation, their credibility, and their customer confidence. And when support channels are available to them, when they can get technical help on a refurbished part if something goes wrong, their ability to offer that same level of support to their customers increases dramatically. The chain of trust extends all the way down. At this point, this actor isn't just a user of the marketplace, they become a stakeholder in it, someone who sees their own success reflected in the success of the solution, and who has every reason to actively participate, contribute, and grow with it. Layer by layer, across every actor, the value deepens. Practical needs met, trust established, purpose ignited. That's what stakeholder value alignment looks like when it's done right. We've heard from the end users, the device owners, the repair professionals. Now let's look at the actors who operate at a different level, but whose participation could make or break this ecosystem. First, the original device manufacturer. Now, refurbishment and out-of-warranty repair might seem like territory that has nothing to do with them. Their warranty has expired. Technically, their obligation ends there. But here's the opportunity they'd be missing if they stayed on the sidelines. By contributing established processes for safe and reliable refurbishment, the device manufacturer can seed and grow a community of certified third-party repair providers, professionals who carry the manufacturer's quality standards forward even after the warranty clock runs out. And what does that do for the manufacturer? It extends their support footprint without extending their liability, because the relationship with third-party providers can be governed through a proper contract. Their brand stays protected, their customers stay served. And there's a bigger picture here too. Customers increasingly choose brands that stand for something. A device manufacturer that actively enables responsible, sustainable repair, that invests in a refurbishment ecosystem, is a brand that earns loyalty, earns recognition, and earns a powerful position in the green engineering movement. This isn't just good ethics, it's smart business. Next, the original electronics component manufacturer, the company that made the parts inside the device. For programmable integrated chips, system-on-chips, microcontrollers, the firmware that makes them function often lives exclusively with the original part vendor. You can have the chip, but without the firmware, it's essentially dormant. That makes onboarding the component manufacturer into this initiative not just valuable. In many cases, it's essential. But here's what makes this actor genuinely excited to participate. There's real value flowing back to them. Once their component has been sold to a device manufacturer, most vendors assume that transaction is complete. But in a refurbishment ecosystem, that same chip gets a second life, and the firmware, the technical support, the quality guidelines that make that second life possible, those become new monetization opportunities, firmware licensing, component support contracts, revenue streams from assets they've already built. On top of that, by contributing quality evaluation guidelines and supporting safe refurbishment standards, the component manufacturer strengthens the reliability of the entire ecosystem, which strengthens their brand credibility. And a B2B support relationship with marketplace operators deepens collaboration, builds community, and positions these brands as active champions of the green engineering cause. It's a compelling value proposition, and the stakeholder analysis makes it impossible to ignore. Finally, government departments. This actor operates at a different layer, but their role is foundational. At the first level, what's needed is clear: regulations and facilitation that actively promote refurbishment for marketed OEM devices. Policy that signals loudly and clearly that extending the life of electronics is not just permitted, it's encouraged. At the next layer, government involvement in setting safety standards for refurbishment processes, covering how parts are evaluated, how components are replaced, how assemblies are tested, brings the credibility and accountability that makes the entire ecosystem trustworthy at scale. And then, the most powerful move, formalizing B2B partnerships for refurbishment-aligned maintenance through government-backed encouragement. This elevates the initiative from a marketplace to an industry ecosystem. It creates the institutional backbone that holds everything together and signals to every actor involved that this is a serious, durable, scalable movement. Three very different actors, three very different roles, but one shared direction. When the device manufacturer, the component supplier, and the government all align around this initiative, each finding their own win within it, the refurbished electronics marketplace stops being just a good idea. It becomes an ecosystem with momentum. And that's exactly what a purpose-driven solution looks like, from every angle. And now we arrive at the actor who sits at the very center of this entire ecosystem, the refurbished electronics marketplace owner. If there's one actor who has to be the most driven, the most connected, and the most invested in making this work, it's this one. Because this actor isn't just participating in the ecosystem, they're building it. They're the ones who bring every other stakeholder to the table and keep them there. And that's exactly why, when we map out the value factors for this actor, there are more of them, both as a provider of value and a receiver of it, than any other actor in this picture. So let's walk through it, layer by layer. Layer 1 is about establishing the foundational offering. Two things anchor this layer. First, a proper structured disposal mechanism that gives device owners a clear, rewarding way to hand over their unused electronics. Not just convenient, financially beneficial. Second, a cost-effective alternative for device maintenance, backed by a reliable supply of refurbished components. These two pillars are the marketplace's entry point into the lives of its users. They solve real, immediate problems, and as we've already seen, they connect directly to the value contributions of the other stakeholders who feed into this ecosystem. The foundation is solid. Now let's build on it. Layer 2 is where trust gets established, and trust in a refurbishment marketplace is everything. Safety, reliability, dependability. These aren't just reassuring words, they're hard-won credentials, and the marketplace earns them by doing two things well. One, by adopting the quality processes and standards contributed by the device manufacturers and component suppliers. Two, by operating within the regulatory framework set by government bodies. When both of these are in place simultaneously, the marketplace isn't just claiming trustworthiness, it's demonstrating it, with the institutional backing to prove it. That's what converts cautious users into confident ones. Layer 3 is where the ecosystem truly comes alive. This is the layer of community, collaboration, and support infrastructure. The marketplace now focuses on formalizing relationships, authorized contracts with OEM partners, structured B2B and B2B2C support channels, compliance frameworks, and a growing community of users sharing real feedback and experiences. What this layer builds is something invaluable. A chain of support that runs from the component manufacturer all the way through to the end customer. Every link in that chain is accountable. Every link adds value. And together, they create the kind of experience that makes people not just satisfied, but advocates. This is where the solution stops being a marketplace and starts becoming a movement. Layer 4, the final layer, is about identity, legacy, pride. This is where the marketplace owner steps back and looks at what they've built and owns it. They've assembled a green engineering partnership unlike anything else in this space. Every OEM, every repair professional, every government body, every end user, all aligned around a shared purpose. And the way this layer gets cemented is through celebration, recognizing every stakeholder's unique contribution, building a brand identity that stands for something real, measuring and growing a satisfaction index that reflects the lived experience of everyone in the ecosystem. because the strongest differentiator any solution can have isn't a feature, it's a feeling, the feeling that you're part of something that matters. And that's what makes this a complete value system. 4 layers, multiple actors, each one finding their win, while together they chip away at one of the most pressing environmental challenges of our time. This is what it looks like when economic viability, human values, and purposeful design come together in one cohesive solution. This is what a well-built ecosystem looks like from the inside out. We've established the economic case for this solution, automated detection of vector density increase, in the previous session. Now let's go deeper into the human layer. Let's look at what this solution actually means to the people it touches and how the value builds, layer by layer, for each actor. Start with the most immediate actor, the resident of a locality. At the first layer, the value is personal and visceral. This solution promises what every resident fundamentally wants: a healthy, hygienic environment, free from vector-borne disease. That's not a feature, that's peace of mind. That's the ability to let your children play outside without worry. It's the most direct, most human value this solution delivers, and it lands immediately. At the second layer, that initial promise deepens into something more durable: confidence and dependability. It's one thing to offer protection. It's another to demonstrate consistently and reliably that the protection actually works. When the resident sees the system responding, detecting, triggering, treating, trust is established. And trust, once earned, is the most powerful value currency there is. At the third layer, something broader takes shape. The solution begins enabling an ecosystem of health-conscious participation, residents who are aware, engaged, and actively contributing to the hygiene and safety of their own community. The value is no longer just received, it's co-created, and that shift from passive beneficiary to active participant is a meaningful evolution in how the resident relates to this solution. Now step up one level to the resident's representative body. Their value expectations mirror those of individual residents: healthy environment, dependable protection, community engagement. Layers 1 through 3 align closely, but they bring something the individual resident doesn't: scale and organizational clarity. They can mobilize collective action, make structured decisions, and drive adoption across an entire locality in a way no individual household can. And at the fourth layer, a value aspiration that's uniquely theirs emerges. This body wants to be known for something. It wants to represent a well-maintained, hygienic residential community with satisfied, proud residents. That aspiration is inseparable from their identity as a governing body. Their credibility, their mandate, their relevance, all of it is strengthened when the people they represent are healthier and happier. So when this solution delivers, it doesn't just protect residents. It validates the representative body's leadership. It earns them endorsement. It raises their satisfaction index. That's the layer 4 value that drives their deepest commitment to making this initiative succeed. Now bring in a third actor, the municipality department. At the first layer, they arrive not just as a beneficiary, but as a contributor. Their years of experience governing diverse localities at scale gives them something invaluable: standard operating processes, execution guidance, and proven best practices. When they bring that into this initiative, they don't just support it. They make it safer, more effective, and more credible. Their contribution at layer 1 is foundational. At the second layer, their value perception aligns with what any responsible governing body would prioritize: established, verified protection from vector-borne disease and a demonstrably safe living environment across the localities under their governance. For them, this isn't just a health outcome, it's a governance outcome. At the third layer, their aspiration becomes more visionary. They want to see something that good governance always strives for: a community of situation-aware, collaborating residents, actively working together to improve their own living conditions. This solution, at its best, can create exactly that kind of engaged civic ecosystem. And for the municipality, helping catalyze that community awareness is itself a form of deep, lasting value. And at the fourth layer, Their aspiration mirrors the representative bodies, but at a bigger scale. They want to represent a healthy, hygienic municipality, one with satisfied residents and a reputation for proactive, effective governance. In a world where public trust in institutions is hard-won, a municipality that can point to a measurable technology-enabled improvement in community health has earned something genuinely significant. 3 actors, 4 layers each, and a pattern that becomes unmistakable as you work through them. The value isn't just economic, it isn't just functional. At every layer, it connects to something human: safety, trust, pride, identity, purpose. And when a solution speaks to all of those layers, for all of the key actors, it stops being just a product or a service. It becomes something people believe in. And that's when an initiative truly has momentum. We've mapped the value layers for the residents, the representative bodies, and the municipalities. Now let's look at the commercial actors, the ones who bring the operational muscle to this initiative. And then finally, the actor who sits at the very center of it all. First, the insecticide and spray product vendor. At the first layer, their core value contribution is straightforward but critical: cost-effective, high-quality products available precisely when and where they're needed. In a time-sensitive initiative like this, where vector density can spike rapidly and the response window is narrow, supply reliability isn't just a commercial consideration. It's the difference between the solution working and failing. That availability commitment is their foundational offering to this ecosystem. At the second layer, the expectation deepens, and rightly so. The products must be safe, reliable, and free from harmful side effects. And that assurance can't just come from the vendor. It must be backed by certification from the relevant regulatory authorities. In an initiative that directly affects community health, certified safety isn't a differentiator. It's a prerequisite. At the third layer, the value equation shifts from what the vendor gives to what they receive in return. And what they're looking for is community endorsement. Real users, real localities, affirming that the products work. In a trust-driven market like this, that kind of grassroots credibility is worth more than any marketing campaign. It validates them as a serious, committed stakeholder, not just a supplier. Now, the insecticide and spray service provider. These are the people on the ground, carrying out the actual treatment operations across localities. Their value alignment runs almost parallel to the product vendor, and that's no coincidence. Their contribution at the first layer is cost-effective, reliable service delivery, available when the trigger fires. The detection system identifies the threat, but it's this actor who responds. Their operational readiness is what turns a detection event into a prevention outcome. At the second layer, same standard applies. The service procedures must be safe, reliable, and side effect free. Residents are trusting these providers to treat their living environment. That trust demands accountability, trained personnel, and adherence to established safety protocols. And at the third layer, again, they seek what the product vendor seeks: community endorsement. The service provider's reputation is built locality by locality, treatment by treatment. When residents and representative bodies vouch for their professionalism and effectiveness, those endorsements become the foundation of a scalable, trusted operation. Together, these two actors, product and service, form the action layer of this initiative. Without them, detection is just data. With them, it becomes prevention. And now, the actor who makes all of this possible, the one who starts the chain, the provider of automated vector density detection capability. This actor isn't just a technology vendor. They are the central orchestrator of the entire ecosystem, and their value layers reflect that weight. At the first layer, their contribution is the core capability itself, a cost-effective mechanism to detect threats arising from vector density increase, accessible, deployable, and practical for localities of different sizes and budgets. If the detection capability is too expensive or too complex to adopt at scale, the entire initiative stalls before it begins. At the second layer, the focus shifts to timeliness and dependability. Detection that's accurate but slow is detection that's too late. This actor must deliver reliable, real-time situational awareness, the kind that gives the response chain enough lead time to act before the disease takes hold. Dependability here is non-negotiable. At the third layer, and this is where this actor's role becomes truly distinctive, the value contribution is ecosystem integration. Bringing together residents, representative bodies, municipalities, product vendors, and service providers into a harmonized action group, all committed to a shared objective. This actor doesn't just provide technology, they provide coordination. And in a multi-stakeholder initiative like this, coordination is often the hardest and most valuable thing to achieve. And at the fourth layer, the ultimate value aspiration, to be the force behind well-maintained, healthy, hygienic localities with satisfied residents, empowered representative bodies, and responsive municipalities. When that image becomes the reality, when people look at their community and feel genuinely safer because this solution exists, the endorsements flow naturally. The satisfaction scores reflect a real lived experience, and the central actor earns the recognition that comes from having genuinely made a difference. And with that, the complete value system for the automated vector density detection solution is mapped. Every actor understood, every value layer articulated, every stakeholder with a reason to participate and a reason to stay. That's what a solution looks like when it's built from the inside out. Now, let's establish the human layer of virtual trial room solution. What does this solution actually mean to the people it touches, and how does the value build, layer by layer, for each actor? Start with the clothing store owner, the actor with the most immediate pain to solve. At the first layer, the value is direct and practical. The solution addresses a core infrastructural problem. The physical trial room simply can't meet peak demand. The virtual trial room steps in as an alternative, not a compromise. The bottleneck is broken. At the second layer, the value deepens. The store owner can now offer prospective buyers something they genuinely trust, a safe, dependable, and credible alternative to the physical trial experience. It's not just about convenience. It's about maintaining the quality of the shopping experience even when the store is at its most crowded. At the third layer, something more strategic emerges. The store owner can now actively collect and leverage user feedback on virtual trial experiences, understanding what buyers loved, what they weren't sure about, what drove their purchase decisions. That feedback loop becomes a powerful tool for deepening customer relationships and refining the in-store experience. And at the fourth layer, the most aspirational value. The virtual trial room enables buyers to engage in digital persona evaluation, exploring styles, combinations, and looks in a way that's personal, playful, and satisfying. For the store owner, facilitating that experience creates an emotional connection with the brand that goes well beyond a single transaction. Now shift perspective to the potential buyer. At the first layer, the value is immediately felt. Quick, easy access to a clothing trial experience, even when physical trial rooms are unavailable or overcrowded. No more queuing, no more frustration. The decision to buy stays alive. At the second layer, safety and dependability. The virtual experience is accurate enough to trust. Fit simulation, look assessment, style evaluation, delivered with enough fidelity that the buyer feels confident making a purchase decision. That confidence is the value. At the third layer, community and social validation. The ability to see how other buyers have experienced the virtual trial, what they thought, what they chose, adds a layer of social reassurance that the physical trial room could never offer. It turns a solo decision into a shared experience. And at the fourth layer, digital persona preparation and genuine self-satisfaction, the ability to visualize yourself in different styles, share looks with friends, express your identity through a digital lens. This is a form of personal engagement that resonates deeply with today's digitally connected buyer. It's not just shopping, it's self-expression. And finally, the virtual trial room solution provider, the actor who makes all of this possible. Their value contribution mirrors the experience they enable, layer by layer. They solve the infrastructure problem at layer 1. They guarantee a safe and dependable experience at layer 2. They build the feedback and community platform at layer 3. And at layer 4, they create the tools for digital persona exploration and user satisfaction that generate the endorsements and loyalty scores that make the solution commercially powerful. 3 actors, 4 layers each, and a pattern that's unmistakable. The value isn't just functional, it's human. It speaks to convenience, trust, community, and identity. And when a solution connects at all 4 layers, for all 3 actors simultaneously, it doesn't just solve a problem. It creates something people genuinely want to be part of. Before we move forward, let's take a moment to consolidate what the stakeholder value analysis approach is really about, because it's more than a framework, it's a way of seeing. At its heart, this approach recognizes something fundamental. Values are the most powerful force for aligning people around a shared purpose, not contracts, not incentives alone, values. When stakeholders see their own deeply held perceptions reflected in what an initiative stands for, they don't just participate, they commit. And that's why the first discipline of this approach is to ask, what does every stakeholder contribute? Not just the obvious contributions. Every direct input, every indirect enablement, every background support that makes the initiative function, all of it must be explicitly identified and acknowledged. Hidden contributions, left unrecognized, create silent resentment. Visible contributions, properly mapped, create genuine partnership. The second discipline is equally important. What does every stakeholder receive? And here's where the thinking must go beyond the transactional. Yes, monetary compensation matters, but value flows in many other forms. Recognition, security, purpose, community, growth. These gains must be named, articulated, and designed for, not assumed or left to chance. Now, not all values announce themselves. Some are hidden beneath the surface, and that's where the value establishment factors become invaluable. By examining what each actor can contribute or receive at specific milestones in the initiative's journey, implicit values rise to the surface. Values the stakeholder may not have consciously articulated, but which, once recognized, deepen their engagement significantly. And of course, not all values are hidden. The obvious ones matter just as much. Acknowledging what's explicit alongside what's discovered gives the complete picture. When all of this is mapped clearly, the offered values and received values per stakeholder across every layer, something powerful happens. Expectations become visible, accountability improves, and the path toward a genuine win-win outcome becomes not just possible, but navigable. That's the stakeholder value analysis approach, and used well, it transforms a good initiative into one that every stakeholder genuinely believes in. And that's a wrap on this session, and what it's delivered is significant. We moved beyond the economics and into the human layer, mapping what every stakeholder values, what they contribute, and what they expect in return. And through 3 real-world examples, we've seen how that mapping transforms a solution from something economically viable into something people genuinely believe in and want to be part of. That's the power of stakeholder value analysis. It doesn't just validate a solution, it humanizes it. And now, with the economic logic established and the value system mapped, the natural next question becomes, how do you actually build it? How do you take all of these stakeholder expectations and translate them into a structured, functional, optimized solution? That's exactly what solution decomposition and relation analysis is designed to answer. The human case is made. Now let's build the blueprint.